Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Today we're going to be talking about combat in the Gotham Knights game. Now, in the 8-minute gameplay reveal or walkthrough that was done by Patrick Redding, one of the game's main guys, we got to see combat from a very short perspective, but I think it kind of showed us some of the things to expect. Now, you can't judge a game that is basically playing halfway through it or even maybe less than halfway through it by just 8 minutes of footage. We're looking at a game that's probably going to spawn around 20 to 30 even maybe 40 hours of main content, and then potentially more DLC content that's probably going to start to drag players into the realm of perhaps a 100-hour game, because the game is an open world game, and I just believe that the direction that they're going is actually for longevity and for a lot of other things that games that can stretch that long can actually add to themselves. So that combat that we saw was a little different from a lot of the combat that we've seen from Rocksteady and even Warner Brothers Games Montreal themselves. The last game that they brought to the table regarding the whole Batman franchise, or whatever you want to categorize all that in, was Batman Arkham Origins, and we got to see some really good combat in that game. Similar combat to the other Arkham games, but it had its own spin. And so seeing what they were doing with the trailer for Gotham Knights, a lot of people are still kind of iffy regarding the combat, because the combat just looks like its own thing in a sense, but it doesn't have that punch that the Arkham games usually have to them. There's a gritty punch where, if you remember how Batgirl fought in Arkham Knight, you get to see her in a whole different light. And so when we were watching that preview, perhaps because of the way the alpha build is, there are many things that are still going to, kind of look a little different. And perhaps by the end of the game, they're going to clean it up. And if fans are demanding or requesting that the combat feels like, or close to the Arkham games, they might change it. And there were also some other elements that I got to see that didn't really feel polished. But also keep in mind, I'm not trying to take a pre-alpha build of a game that's coming out next year and fully compare it to a game that's already established and released. All I'm saying is I just didn't see the continuation of the quality, and it's just something that I was expecting, especially the fact that if you notice the mission that Batgirl goes for, it's actually Robin that she goes, into that mission with. It's like Warner Brothers Games Montreal was trying to tell us, hey, the last time we developed anything regarding a Batman game was the DLC A Matter of Family, which was a DLC mission that was about Batgirl, and her sidekick in that mission structure was Robin. So I kind of see the juxtaposition, and I see what they were trying to do. Maybe they were doing it intentionally. Maybe they did it just, it just happened to be that way, and it was a choice they decided to make. But it seemed like the way the combat's going, it is very different, most definitely. I mean, you can see that Batgirl was going the run and gun, or, blazing fists or blazing batons, and Robin was going the stealth method. So that might have had to make things change really drastically and the game to run differently other than the way it ran in the single player sense. So perhaps systems in place may not allow for the way the multiplayer is, going to run, to be able to play like the regular Arkham games. And then when it came to sound and when it came to enemy NPCs firing their weapons, it was a little Spider-Man-esque. And when I say Spider-Man-esque, Marvel Spider-Man, where if an enemy wanted to shoot at something, you would see kind of a jagged, weird flat light beam that kind of indicated that, somebody was about to get shot at. And I think this is something that, I noticed, and I was like, I wonder why they're deciding to go this direction. Perhaps it's a game engine style thing. Perhaps it's a design style that helps the player, know that they're about to get shot at so that they can basically maybe evade or dodge. But, that's not necessarily, very close to the Arkham that we know. When we're playing the Arkham games, we're used to the, blue little beams on the heads of the enemies that show that, there's an attack that you can counter. If it's yellow, they have a sharp object. And if it's red, it's an unblockable attack. And so that's something that, we were kind of used to, but I feel like they're probably trying to make the systems more complex. And so they've decided to use that parameter. And because the game is probably going to center around specific things, it might be something that, works when the game comes out. I'm not, and I say this again, questioning the design decisions of the developers. I'm just curious as to why they've decided to take this method. And at the end of the day, the method might actually be good for the game that they're trying to make. And I'll be happy to play it either way, whether they use this method or they go and tweak it later down the road. That doesn't concern me. This is just something that I feel like is worth noting, that we're starting to see elements from other games that, seems a lot of players love. Perhaps they're doing it to perhaps maybe appeal to a lot of the Spider-Man audience, something that they're used to, button controls that they may also be used to. And, what Warner Brothers Games Montreal is trying to do is, appeal to a broader audience, and even people who may like other games that don't necessarily, or haven't necessarily tapped into the Arkham games. I know some of you don't know, but there are many people who don't like the Arkham games or don't care about them. I don't know why, but I've seen and I've met them, and I've, listened to them talk about why they didn't necessarily enjoy the game. I guess because the game really does appeal to a very select audience, so I can see where the development team is trying to pull all these elements together. And over the course of this video, you've probably been seeing, gameplay footage from A Matter of Family with Batgirl and Robin fighting, and also some of the footage that was shown in the gameplay reveal with Batgirl and Robin also fighting. I guess from here on, you should be able to kind of make up your mind which one you would, which one you prefer right now, and what you would love to see regarding the combat once the game fully comes out. Because there's a lot that goes into it. Every character is going to fight differently, and then when you pair up two different characters and you want to do a team takedown, maybe you're playing multiplayer, what all that's going to look like. There's so many things that you have to consider, because for the 4 characters, you have multiple possible combinations, and, the way they'll approach things will be also very different. So when you start thinking of all of this, it all is subject to more information being released anyways, because, some characters might have some abilities that some other characters, definitely don't have. I believe that they would make a diverse, set of skills for each of the characters. And it's just a matter of seeing them in order for us to be able to determine exactly what they're about and exactly what they're like. But anyways, that's pretty much, a little commentary on the combat so far. I know it's a pre-alpha build, and I think it threw a lot of people off, but I just want to say Warner Brothers Games Montreal has been able to develop some really good quality and polish, and they did so in the last iteration of one of the DLC package, actually, from Batman Arkham Knight. And so with that in mind, I think they were kind of trying to, juxtapose and say, hey, we've done something with Batgirl and Robin before, and we're kind of appealing to you guys, the fans, and they were showing us what they had. But over the course of, I think, the next few months till the game is released, we're most likely going to be getting the polish that we, are expecting from them. And so I wouldn't take that gameplay footage as 100%, canon. It's just something that was depicted, and who knows? The game, and, thankfully, which is even better, is that they even released gameplay, which is really nice. At least they didn't come to hype us with some CGI trailer, and then, 3 weeks down the road, or maybe right before the game came out, we then, saw some gameplay, and then we were disappointed. We are aware of the gameplay right now, and we know that it can definitely improve, because, builds of games change, performance change, and I think that game most likely was being run on a console. It did not look like, something that was being run on a PC, but you never know. But it did definitely look like it was running on a dev build of a console, and I think that was a very good way to go to kind of showcase that the broader audience is able to still play this game. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to go buy a PS5. You don't have to go buy an Xbox Series X in order to play the game. You can still play your game. So I think the optimization is still going to keep going. They're going to get the game to where it needs to be. And then even on PC, it's most likely going to look very grand. It's going to look really, really good. And, perhaps when the game comes out, we'll be able to judge more from there. But I look forward to seeing more from the developers, about all of this. And I also want to hear your thoughts in the comment section. So let's chat. Talk to me. Let me hear what you think about the combat compared, to Arkham Knight, and even to Warner Brothers' own entire title that they did, Arkham Origins. And just, see if you still have any confidence in the development team to be able to bring some quality, or if you're a little bit, on the questioning side. I'm not on the questioning side. I think they can bring the quality. That is for certain in my book. So I'll get out of your hair. Thank you so much for your time and audience. I appreciate you guys so much. And hopefully we'll see in another video. Peace.